This episode, we get to talk with Clint Pulver. And if you've seen this guy, you know that everything he touches seems to be excellent. He even has an Emmy Award-winning video. Now, this episode's amazing because he gives us real strategies to succeed in business in the speaking industry. And we're gonna talk about some of the unique things he's done to position himself as an expert. So please enjoy this episode with Clint Pulver.
Would you just introduce yourself to anybody that doesn't know you yet, kind of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Clint Pulver, and I'm a professional keynote speaker, author, musician, and husband and father.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about your speaking business and maybe like why you got into this?
Yeah, so my speaking business, I've been doing this full-time for 4.5 years. And before I worked in kind of corporate America, I was doing a job that I just absolutely hated, was not in a spot where I felt fulfilled. It just wasn't where I wanted to be. And I sat down with two of my buddies and I said, wouldn't it be crazy if you could find a job that allowed you to do what you love, but it also was able to provide for you in a way that was sufficient for you, like you were able to pay your bills. But then third, you were also able to contribute to your purpose in life, that you felt like you were doing something bigger than yourself. So those are the 3 P's: passion, purpose, and the ability to provide. And in the job that I was doing, I was just literally existing every day. And 2 weeks after that conversation with my buddies, I quit my job and I jumped into the world of professional speaking. And again, that was 4.5 years ago, and I have never looked back since. And it was in the pursuit of those 3 P's and in the pursuit to live, not just exist. And I think in our life, you know, at the end of our days, we'll be surrounded by 2 things. We'll be surrounded by the woulda, shoulda, couldas and the do it, did it, done it's. And I wanted more of the woulda, shoulda, couldas. And speaking for me and the world of professional speaking checked off all those boxes. It's something that I've been able to do, that I love, that I'm passionate about. I have been able to provide for my family in a way that's sufficient for us. And every day when I get on stage, I feel like I'm doing something bigger than myself. And so that's how the journey started, and still the pursuit of what I'm trying to achieve today.
That's so cool. And I love the moment of like you decided that you were going to do this, you quit your job and you dove right in. I'm curious on what that looked like. Did you know what you were doing at the beginning, or how did you go from that to what I know you as today, which is somebody who I share as an example? Like when people say, like, who's someone that's doing it well, marketing themselves well, building a business that's fully them. I send a lot of people to your website as an example. So how did you go from I'm going to do this to there, if you had to kind of squish that down?
Yeah, I think, you know, from a marketing standpoint, for me, the goal was to always have quality stuff. So quality video, quality website. If you're in the speaking world, if that's something you're wanting to do or you do professionally, people that hire you, they're hiring you largely based upon your website. They're hiring largely upon what they see in your video. I don't know of another industry where people will pay the kind of money they pay for a professional speaker to talk for an hour based off of the 2-minute video they watch. So there was that aspect of it. But the first aspect, I would say, in great marketing is having an amazing speech. If you're a professional speaker, you better be astonishing on stage. You need to be amazing on stage. You're a professional speaker, for crying out loud. You need to know how to pause, how to tell a story, where to put your hands, your tonation of your voice, how to tell a great story, how to captivate, how to take people on a journey. I think that's a big piece of it. If you are good on stage, good speeches will get more good speeches. That's how you know if you're doing a good job marketing yourself as a speaker from the stage, is when you finish a speech and people come up to you and you get all the accolades and like, oh man, you were awesome. That was so good. You killed it on stage. Those are great. But you really know that you're killing it when somebody comes up and says, hey, you did a great job. And they reach into their pocket, they take out a business card and they say, here's my number. Here's my information. I have an event in October. And what you said today is exactly what my conference needs to hear. It's exactly what my people need to hear. That's when you know you have a referable, a marketable speech. So that's key in marketing. You might have the greatest website. You might have amazing video, and that might get you a few first-time gigs. But if you suck on stage, you're not the referable speaker. You're not someone that will consistently get booked time and time again. Good speeches get more speeches.
Right. I've heard that the first 10 engagements are harder to get than the next 100. Because if what you're saying is true, that if you are good at what you are doing, if you're selling a great product, then the people who witness it are going to say, wow, yes, I need this. And it's so funny going into speaking engagements and knowing that there's actually other people in the audience that could hire you. They kind of look out for you in a community. Like if you're going to one business or one school,
Totally.
there will be other people in the crowd that they're looking for people just like you.
Absolutely. Yep. And I think, again, every opportunity when you're on stage is an opportunity for you to book something else. Whether there's a decision maker in the audience or not, people talk. I can't tell you how many times in the youth world, when I started out speaking to high school students and junior high students, they would go home and tell their parents, "Oh, Mom, Dad, we had this super cool assembly. There was this awesome speaker that came and talked to us." And then the dad's like, "Well, geez, tell me more." And the dad's a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, or the mom's an event planner for an association event. And then they look me up and we got booked that way. So, I mean, you really never know. And again, just put marketing aside for a minute. Your job, that privilege of the platform, is just to be amazing. You need to be astonishing on stage. And obviously, the goal is to stay in business, but the ultimate goal is to influence and to move people and to do your job as a speaker on stage. It's a big privilege, it's a big responsibility. But if you're good enough, uh, people can't ignore you.
What do you think is the difference between those speakers that maybe they're selling themselves, they're good at marketing, but their speech isn't there, that they're not getting rebooked? Have you witnessed that? Like, what might be those things that could take them to the level that they could be to be amazing?
I think it's a hard question to answer because it could be a lot of things. It could be their humor. It could be maybe they're doing death by PowerPoint. It's PowerPoint slide after PowerPoint slide. Maybe they just need to work on their craftsmanship and storytelling and how to really captivate people. Maybe they're all over the place and they're the speaker that speaks to everybody about everything instead of they're zoned in on their niche and they're really good at solving one specific problem. Maybe they pace nonstop. Maybe they're constantly going, maybe, yes, perhaps, oh, geez, where was I? Happy to be here. Nice to see you today. Let's get started. It could be a vast array of a lot of different things. But I think one of the greatest things that you can do early on in your speaking career is to create what's called a board of mentors. Who are the people in your world, in your industry, so fellow speakers, coaches, authors, that are living and breathing the business that you want to create? Who are doing the things that you want to do? They're on the stages that you want to be on. Those are the people that you should do whatever it takes to associate with those people. Go to those people and learn from them. Watch them, study them, see what they're doing. Find videos of them on YouTube. But again, I would say take it up a notch and do what you can to actually connect with them. Reach out to them. If you're a younger speaker, you have the blessing of what I call rookie mode. You're a rookie. You're starting out. And we all, as professional speakers that have been doing this for a while, we remember what it was like when we very first started. It's hard, it's scary, it's tough, it's difficult, it's competitive. But when you go to those people and you're teachable, and you're grateful, and you're humble and willing to learn, it's amazing how many people will literally open up the curtain and take you behind the scenes and show you what they're doing and show you how they've built their business, how they've marketed, how they got better on stage. That has been an invaluable piece of my business. And we should be willing to do whatever it takes to associate with those astonishing people. In doing so, it will decrease your failure rate and increase the inspiration and productivity and efficiency of having a more marketable speaking business.
I was like astonished that me being in rookie mode, reaching out to people like you, like one of my mentors, Elaine, and even people that speak on the same exact topic that I do, and me thinking, wait, they probably won't help me because I'm their competition, and realizing that that's not the case in the speaking industry. It's filled with amazingly generous people who want to see us all succeed because they know that there are hundreds of thousands of events that go on every year, and there's no possible way that we
Yes.
can serve them all. So
Yes.
why not help out a friend who's trying to change the world too? And like I've seen that across the board. You sounds like you have too.
Yeah, there's so many generous people. There are, though, you'll find some speakers that have the scarcity mentality of, they don't give you all the ins and outs. They don't tell you everything, and that's fine too, to an extent. But for the most part, you don't always need that as well. Again, it's just finding someone that believes in you, finding someone that's willing to pour into you. And here's the one thing I will add to this, Jake. If somebody is willing to help you, like if somebody gives you their time, you call them up, you reach out to them on Instagram, they give you an hour of their time, half hour of their time. For me, that always meant so much. And I kind of became like the king of the Jamba Juice gift cards. At the time, that's all I could really afford. And I'd put together like 15 bucks, 20 bucks, and I'd get a gift card, and it was to Jamba Juice, and I would send that to the person, and I would just write a handwritten thank you note. And I just said, I just, everything you said meant the world to me. Because most people would charge a lot of money to give that insight. And people have spent a lot of money to learn the lessons they've learned, whether that's time on an airplane, time on a stage, time on their website, in the market, time in the industry. And so be willing to just take a moment and say thank you. And I think that simple showing of gratitude shows people that you're not there to just take, but you're willing to earn it, and you're willing to make sure that it's a win-win. And I want to work with speakers that have that give and take mentality. I'm going to refer to you a few gigs, and I know that you're going to do the same. That type of an abundant mentality is a beautiful thing, and speakers get speakers gigs for sure.
That is awesome. I remember like the first time when I was connected with you, you said something like this on a podcast. And I was like, this is Clint, like saying it's okay. And I think I sent you, I know you're a drummer. So I was like, I'll send him a Guitar Center gift card so he can
You
grab
did,
a
man.
pair of sticks.
You did. I remember. And I'll tell you what, man, when you came through, the email system to the management team to be on the show, I said, absolutely, 100%. I remember Jake, he's a good dude. I remember talking. I remember that relationship. I also remember the gift card. Like it's a little thing. It's a little thing, but holy cow, it matters. So
Yeah, even the little things that like it couldn't have been more than $15. That but you remembered the sentiment of it. I think people aren't used to that level of caring or thoughtfulness. And so I'm curious too, is I saw on your Instagram page recently you had said that you were watching someone at a rodeo, an entertainer that you have been watching for a while,
yeah,
and you learned some things from him about your business. And I'm curious, is there anything in your business right now that you're doing that you've learned from other industries?
100%. Oh my gosh. From the movie industry to the music industry to even the rodeo world of events and comedians, musicians, directors, film writers, screenwriters, even the circus. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but like any form of entertainment, Broadway, musicals, I gain inspiration from all of that. My wife is really talented in the theater world. She performs all the time. And every time I go and see a show, or we go see a show together that she's in or she's performing in, or just something we're going together to go and watch, I'm taking notes. I'm watching, I'm looking, oh my gosh, look what he did with his hands. Oh my gosh, did you see that upward inflection? Oh, look at that timing and the humor. And then he paused and it just sold that moment. I'm constantly striving to pull from other areas besides other speakers that will help me to become better on stage. Magicians, magic. I grew up watching, Siegfried and Roy and Lance Burton and these magicians and how they would take people on a journey. I think great speakers, that some of the best speakers were magicians at some point. They know how to craft a trick. They know how to make it magical. They know how to do the punchline and make you just, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. And it's very similar to what we do and perform as speakers. Take them on a journey, never be predictable. What's going to happen next? And give them the wow effect. I mean, there's so many different things that all culminate into who I am and the business I've created as a speaker, for sure.
That's cool. I think that one of the examples I remember from my business, the same deal was seeing real estate agents sending these goofy gifts to their clients and past clients so that they would remember them,
Yes,
knowing that their buying cycle is like 5 to 10 years later. And I
yes,
thought, wow, speakers are a lot in the same. Like they might not bring you back every year, but every 4 and 5 they might. What is something that I can send them on their birthday to show them that I'm thinking about them, or
totally.
a picture of us together at a gig so that I can send them a magnet that might go on their fridge or their office, somewhere.
Yep.
Um, that totally is just a trick, something you might use for stage, something you might use for business or marketing.
100%. Yeah. And I think, stay open. Stay open. Be willing to, look at other industries and how they operate and work. I think we're all in the business of showmanship to some degree. Every industry has a little bit of that, whether you call that good marketing or good customer service or the experience that they're trying to create for the customer or the consumer. There's a lot to be learned.
Awesome. I want to switch gears. One of the things that's so cool about your platform is you've got this thing called Undercover Millennial. And tell me if I'm doing this right, but you will basically go into a business as just an average person shopping there, but with a recording device, and you're going to learn about their company culture and record it and share it with the company so that they can improve. Can you like fill any holes on what that is, and then tell us why you decided to start that?
Yeah, so 4.5 years ago, I was a part of a mastermind group with CEOs, executives. We were in New York City meeting with other business owners, and one of the guys that we met with owned a large sporting good retail store and would be what you would consider a successful CEO. And we're talking about his business and his strategy and marketing and what they've had to do to adapt to the market that's always changing. So, what's your business strategy for today's market? I loved the stuff that he was saying. And then I asked him, what about your management style? What about how you manage your employees? Have you had to change that approach? And he fired back and said, nah, no, not really. And I remember going, yeah, that makes no sense because kids today versus kids 20 years ago, the world's changed. Why no need to adapt to management, but there's a need to adapt for marketing and business strategy. And so I thank the guy for his time. And I remember I looked around in his store and all of his employees were my age or younger, like our age, Jake, young millennials, Gen Z employees. And I just said, man, I wonder if they would say the same thing. I wonder if they would have the same approach. And so I went up and I just asked one of them. And I looked just like how I do today. Like I had a backwards hat on. I was wearing a t-shirt. I think I had maybe a hoodie on, wearing my Nikes. And I walked up to the employee and I just said, hey, I'm just curious, what's it like to work here? And the employee got really quiet, looked around, felt like it was an illegal drug exchange. And the employee said, do you really want to know? And I go, yeah. He goes, man, I can't stand it here. He's like, I literally feel like it's just a job, man. We're all cogs in a wheel. I don't even think my manager knows I'm here right now. And I remember thinking, well, then why are you still working here? And he said, oh, I've already applied to 3 other jobs. As soon as I get a chance, I'm out. And I thought, well, maybe he's having a bad day. So I went and asked another employee and another and another. And in the 35 minutes that I had, I interviewed 6 of this guy's staff. And at the end of those conversations, 5 out of the 6 of his employees said they would not be working for this guy in his store in less than 3.5 months. Every one of them had an exit strategy. Every one of them had a foot out the door of his business, and he had no clue. And I realized that was a moment for me in my business. Again, I just stayed open. I was listening. And I realized that the perception of leadership versus the reality of the employee experience is usually night and day different. But because of my age, because I was a millennial, I was young, I could go into an organization looking like a normal customer, and employees would open up to me. They would tell me things that they would never tell to the manager. They would never write on a survey because I wasn't any of those things. And that was a moment that started a business for me, which supported my speaking. And for the last 4.5, almost 5 years, I have worked as the Undercover Millennial, where I go undercover into organizations but I go in as someone who's looking for a job. So I'd go into a Chick-fil-A or a Verizon store or a Walmart, and I'd walk up to the first employee and just say, hey, I'm just thinking about applying. I'm looking for work. I look like how I look right now. I'm in normal clothes. And then we have hidden cameras on my body, and we film those conversations. And we blur out the employees' faces. We change their voices. If it's a smaller company, we don't even film, because employee privacy is the #1 priority. But what we're doing is it was a moment. It was a moment where we were able to go in with management and open their eyes and show them something that they had no idea was going on. And in doing so, they then get to be a better organization. They get to take care of their people better. And it's been an amazing thing to be a part of. And that's what the new book I just wrote came out all about. And it's all of the research of when an employee said, I love my job, and what those great leaders were doing to create that kind of loyalty.
That is incredible. Wow, that's like literally an amazing series of events that led to something awesome that's adding to your business and your purpose today in order to help people. And I just want to point out that it started with you being curious. Like, you put yourself in a mastermind with your ideal clients and people that you could help, and you were curious about their business. Like, you weren't selling your services, you were
Right.
listening to what they needed. And then you were curious when you left the store. You weren't like, oh, that guy thinks he has it all. You were curious still, and you said, I wonder, like, what if this is true? Or what if this is not true? And I'm going to ask around. And that you took the time to do that, because you could have just said, oh, those won't be my customers, or they're not the right fit.
Sure.
Instead, you still thought, like, well, is there a way to help? You're like a student. You're a student of your craft. I'm hearing this over and over again, is that you're studying people in the theater. You're studying people at different events on how you can better do your work and serve an audience. And then you're also studying your clientele to learn how you can best serve them too and their needs. I want to ask you about your book next, but one more question too, like about that story is, did you have to validate this idea after it happened once? How did you know that it could happen again and again and again and would become a part of your business?
Yeah. I think it was shopping it out to the customers. I think more speakers need to do this. They need to make sure that their big idea or their thought or their topic or their subject or their niche, it needs to be market approved. Market approved. I have literally every week, Jake, somebody will call me and they want to be a speaker. They're getting into the speaking industry, or they've been doing it for a little while. And they go, this is what I want to talk about. This is what I want to say. This is my message. And what I really would love for a speaker to say is, this is what I want to talk about, but this is what I know is market approved. I've tested it in the market, and I know that the market deems my message valuable. That is what sells. And I knew that I had a cool idea. It was unique. It was something that was different. I realized that they gave me something that they weren't giving to the CEO, but I still needed to know if that was something that people were willing to buy. Because again, I'm in business, right? I'm trying to make a living. I'm trying to pay my bills and put dinner on the table for my family. So I needed to have a little bit of a business mentality in this process. And so making sure the market deems it valuable is an essential piece. So I went and I shopped it around to other CEOs, executives, business owners. I went to small little business gatherings. There's networks of, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce, or it's a mastermind group, or it's a CEO business association. There's so many of these little organizations. And I went and I pitched the idea to these business owners. And I went and I did it for free. And that is how I understood how to make it more marketable, how to make it more valuable. Again, it was all listening. Listening. And I still even do that with my speeches. As I'm continuing to grow and develop, I'm listening to what the event planner's saying. I'm listening to what this audience surveys are saying, because that helps me to be more market approved, to be more valuable. I want to be reassuringly expensive. That should be the goal of every single speaker. You must be reassuringly expensive. What is the insurance policy that you are able to guarantee to that event planner that brings you in? We have to think in that mentality as a speaker. I've had in my career, I have seen 3 event planners that have lost their jobs because they hired a crappy speaker, or they hired a speaker that they didn't do their homework on, and that speaker came in, got on stage and bombed. Or that speaker got on stage and started dropping F-bombs to a crowd of people where that just didn't fly. It was where that speaker didn't do their job in the way that the job needed to be done. And in doing so, that event planner lost their job. And event planners are thinking about that. The customers are thinking about that when they buy you. How is this person, how is Jake reassuringly expensive? How can I guarantee that Jake's going to come in and he's going to nail it? Well, it's because Jake's done his time and his homework and put in the effort to make sure that he's market approved.
Wow.
Yeah,
And that
essential.
is that what reassuringly expensive means then? Is that you're tested, you're proven, I'm willing to pay the extra to know that you are going to make me look great.
Yeah, it comes down to your marketing, it comes down to your content, it comes down to your stagecraft, it comes down to your customer service. It's ultimately the experience that you can provide on stage, where they know you're going to get up there and you are just going to kill it. You're going to do everything that they need you to do, from making sure that they spark the possibilities, whether you're a marketing speaker or you're a leadership speaker, whatever it is that they're booking you for, you need to make sure that you've got all those T's crossed and the I's dotted, and that you're a home run guarantee.
Awesome. And I do want to hear a little bit more about your book, because you launched it recently, right? Or it's about to launch. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we launched it about 2 months ago, and it's on Amazon and all over the place. It's in different bookstores, libraries. We put it in the trade, which is cool. Yeah, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my speaking career. It was a lot because it was research that I had conducted as the Undercover Millennial, and then taking all of that research and all of that data and then putting it in a book format, in a written format. It's not like a keynote. It's a very different process, and making sure that there's relevance to everything that you're putting in there, and that it has a point, and it's captivating, and it's engaging, but it's also prescriptive, and it's not just some, I didn't want to write another leadership book written by a self-proclaimed leadership expert. There's so many books in the world that are about that. I didn't want this book to be that. Every sentence in that book was chewed on and thought about and revised and re-edited, and it really has been a lot of work. But I think in the long run, we came out with a quality product and a book that I'm really proud of. Authorship is a piece of the speaking game to some degree, depending on what you do and why you do it. But yeah, it's been quite the journey.
That's awesome. So as we close out, is there any parting guidance you would give, I guess, specifically on marketing, for any speakers or coaches out there who are like you, that are trying to build a successful business and make an impact?
Yeah, I would recommend the power of videofying your story. Videofy your story. We all have what we call signature bits as speakers, our signature story, something that you're well known for. Or, if you're the guy that climbed Mount Everest with no legs, or you're the person that landed on the moon, or whatever your story is, the reason why people book you, I would figure out a way to videofy that. And what I mean is making a short, shareable video that is highly produced, that reenacts that story in some way, shape, or form. My signature story is about a teacher that changed my life with a pair of drumsticks. I've been a professional drummer for 23 years, and he changed my life by creating a moment that represented opportunity. Gave me a pair of drumsticks, and I became a drummer. I was the kid that was always tapping, but he said, no, you're the opportunity. And that was a signature story that I created into a small, shareable YouTube video. And that YouTube video across all the platforms has now over 22 million views. And I have never paid a dime for marketing. And I would say probably 80 to 90% of all of our speaking business has come because of that video. Because people shared it, and it was inspiring. And I wasn't there to pitch or say anything to anybody. People that are listening to this, you can go check it out on YouTube. Last year, it just won an Emmy Award.
What?
And I won an Emmy. For
That's so cool.
And I'm not saying that to go, oh, wow, look at you, Clint. No, I'm telling you that because it really was an integral piece in the marketing of our business. and created credibility and just marketing that you can't buy. It has been the number one marketing piece to our business. Videofy your story. Go check it out on YouTube. It's called Be a Mr. Jensen, and figure out how to create something like that for yourself.
Wow, that's an amazing testimonial. If you invest in your story and the impact it can make, that you will get gigs. Like
Totally.
that marketing was a one-time buy. You produced the video and you said you do things well. You did it extremely well, and it's paying off years later.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can say I know another speaker that won an Emmy for a promotional video that they did about, a short story. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And again, I think video is key. Video and just marketing in general. Anything you do that's worth doing, do it right. Do it right. Invest. Make sure you're investing in the right people. You're taking the time to be hands-on. There's a lot of speakers that'll just say, here's all my old footage. They give it to a videographer, put it together and make a promo video. Or, here's my ideas. And they go to a web designer and say, just make my website. For me, I've always taken the approach of I needed to be hands-on. I wanted to be a part of the process. Every detail on my website, in my videos, it's there for a reason. It's all been designed. Design your business. Don't just have a business by default. And I think in doing so, you set yourself up to have a significant business, not just a successful one that is perennial, one that will consistently be desired and wanted and will continue to sell for you years and years to come.
This is awesome. Thank you, Clint, for sharing so much. And if people really resonate with you, they want to learn more about you or from you, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, they can check out the website, clintpulver.com, and then also hit me up on all the social media platforms. I'm there.
All right. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Jake.
And thank you to everybody who's listening. Make sure to check back next week to continue growing your impact, income, and influence.